Now you're picking something up. All right, let's try this again.
Bright scimitar one. It's on my. I cast it on my bracelet. So I can duck it under my sleeve if I need to. Okay. 18 stealth.
You start stealthing ahead, maybe 10 feet away from the opening, and all of a sudden, you feel burning surrounding your body. And you look, and there is a grayish ooze rising up from the tunnel around you. With your 14 perception, a DC 15, you would have needed to see it, and instead you walked right in it, and you are grappled by a gray ooze.
God.
It's about to deal damage, and you're about to roll initiative.
Oh, man! Son of a bitch!
Speaking of Inish, they do stack bull strength and rage. They're two different bonuses. Rage is morale bonus. Bull strength is enhancement.
Oh, yeah, all right.
Oh, yeah. Nice. So I'm going to go to demigod strength. We'll see.
You might still be full strength, right?
Oh, I certainly am, yeah.
Yeah, you are, right?
For 5 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah, so squeezing is -4 to hit, -4 AC.
Oh, shit.
What is your bonus? No.
All right, so everybody take that into account.
What is your bonus to strength with your belt?
Bonus to... Well, there is no standing bonus, but when I go into a rage, it's +4.
Right. It's just like mage armor. You cannot add +4 on top of it. Trust me, I've been through this.
But they're different bonuses.
I know they're different bonuses, but this is totally different.
No, it's a raging... because he goes into a rage, that's where the strength comes from, which is a morale bonus.
Right.
And the bull strength is an enhancement bonus, so that's two different types of bonuses.
Yeah, you can stack those.
Yeah.
That's why the wording is different. But this has the makings of a We Are Stupid.
Stop stalling.
You got news to kill.
Yeah, and are we all in the tunnel now?
I would assume it's Della, Baron, Ingrahild, Lork, Galabras.
So Lork is last, because I was pulling the grate behind me closed.
All right, so Della is on. She's made the turn. Baron just reached the wall. Inga is right behind him. Galabras is just about to enter, and Lork is still outside.
Okay.
For anyone out there that monitors this stream
At your side,
yes.
at the future, my name is Caleb Dillon. This is a White Metal Games subscription commission stream. The Collector, which is a subscription commission. Basically, clients pay us each month to work on their models. Unlike a traditional commission, we don't worry about estimates. They pay us a certain amount for a certain number of hours. It's a pre-negotiated rate. They get other perks as well. And so every month we just work on camera. We've been doing this on Twitch for a long time, but I'm just kind of disappointed with the metrics we were getting on Twitch. So I'm trying something a little different, trying out YouTube this week, see how that works. And if it works well, I think I might stick with it. The primary purpose of this stream is just to document our service. And, we do this every month with we have 4 clients now who do this. So that gives us quite a few hours a month. And then we also supplement this with our regular commission work. So if there's anyone out there that is interested in what we're doing, feel free to ask. If not, then just enjoy a little casual hobby time. And I tend to listen to a podcast while I do this to sort of relax, keep it chill during this period of weirdness and uncertainty in our world. So if anyone out there is hobbying, feel free to chat or leave a message. And if not, just thanks for dropping in. Today I'm working on some basing for this client. So I find it's better to do this stuff early in the project to give it plenty of time to dry, to cure. This client wanted cork basing, but because he had already assembled his models, it's a challenge because I'm not going to take all these models off their bases. That would be really time consuming. And that would chew into his time, which kind of defeats the purpose of a subscription commission. So we have this very thin tile material that we use for select projects like this. It's cork, but it's something like 1/32 of an inch or something. So it's very, very thin. Actually, you can see it here. It's incredibly thin. It's like paper thin almost, which is great for tearing up and putting it on flat bases like this. This is going to be an ultramarine army. And when the army is all based, then we'll lay down some primer. We laid down some primer on some of the vehicles this morning, including a Knight, which we're excited about. And later this week, we'll also be working on a couple other subscription commissions. We've got some ultramarine eliminators we're doing for a different client, and some Star Wars models we're doing for a different client. Some Star Wars Armada models. So yeah, we just work on a bunch of different stuff here. Well, I'll be monitoring the chat, so if anyone is curious as to what we're doing, feel free to let us know.
Okay, anybody over 30?
All right, let's go.
All right,
come on, move it along.
Who got 25 plus? 20 plus?
Come on.
20 plus?
What do you want from me? I got 14.
15 plus?
14 for the Della.
So 14. Good person to go first-ish.
First-ish.
Anybody? All right, Baron, what'd you get?
13.
13. Gal.
6.
Lork.
7.
Okay. Della.
So what am I? Is it all around me? Is it around my legs? Is it around like how much of me is?
You
covered
basically
loose?
walked right into it, and where you didn't notice it, DC 15 to notice it, it basically automatically deals a slam attack to you, and then will attempt to grab you as well for free.
Okay. So it's like it was on the floor, and I stepped on it, and it was just like bam.
I mean, you're crawling through here. You're not really walking. I should say you're stooped. You're stooped. Yeah, you're getting through there, and this thing just. Hey, a better idea is it came from the ceiling and just landed on you. That makes more sense.
We are stooped.
We are stooped. It deals 9 points of regular damage and 2 points of acid damage.
Okay. So 11 to start, plus that one continues to burn me, right?
Your clothing begins to sear off of your body, and your armor takes 2 points of acid damage as well. And correct me if I'm wrong, acid bypasses DR?
It does.
So,
I like that you think I have to.
But your armor has a natural hardness, and this bypasses the hardness of that armor. So at a certain point, this acid could make your armor broken. And now it will attempt. It could just be in your clothes. You're basically going to be naked pretty soon, just covered by armor, and then your armor could end up being ineffectual as well.
Galabras refuses to look. Absolutely not.
He's doing one of those things, hand over the eye, with the eye peeking out.
No, Milady,
I'm not looking.
No.
Della and Galabras have been spending a lot of time together.
We have.
What kind of armor are you wearing?
Mithril.
Mithril what? Oh, Mithril.
Mithril chain shirt.
Oh, yeah, that'll last forever.
It attempts to grapple.
I thought I was already grappled.
No, it gets a free attempt to grab. I mean, if you'd rather just be grappled.
I'd rather go.
Natural 1.
Yeah,
Wow, that's huge. So it sears you. It does not grapple. And now, round 1, Della.
Swift action, light my scimitar on fire. Step to the side, swing to hit.
To the side, like this.
Well, is it like, can I move 5 feet away from it so it's not on top of me?
No. You're in a 4-foot space, but imagine you're not sharing the space. Like it's in front of you.
It's in front. Okay.
For the purposes of the game.
Critical threat.
Critical threat! Oh! Yeah! Let's back in town.
Roll to confirm. 19 to confirm.
Confirmed.
Yeah!
Wow, that's awesome.
Boom. Thank God you didn't.
Oh, you know what? Not confirmed.
What?
They're immune to crits.
It's immune.
I'm going to turn the volume on this down a little bit in case anyone has any questions or comments or anything like that. As I mentioned earlier, this is a specialty commission. My name is Caleb Dillon. I've been a commission artist for about a decade now. I own a studio called White Metal Games. That studio operates out of Raleigh, North Carolina. Before the crisis, we were doing pretty well overall, although we'd seen a decline in commissions over the last couple months, so things were a little slow. But now we're all working at home, and
How many hit points does your scimitar have?
I could be wrong.
subscription commissions like this are kind of something newer. Over the years, I've kind of learned that I didn't like the traditional model that a lot of commission services used, which is basically that you put out your service and then people contact you for a quote or an estimate. And there's nothing wrong with it. But you spend a lot of time writing estimates that don't go anywhere. during the busiest times of the year, I would be writing 10 estimates a week, and maybe one or two of those every week would go through. So you lose about 80% of your estimates that just to nothing. They don't go anywhere. Part of that is just due to rates. You learn to adjust your rates over time, and when you make mistakes and you go too high, you lose business. So the whole nature of it is just really capricious. If your rate is wrong, if your estimate is wrong, and a lot of times you're being asked to estimate models that you have no idea how long they take to work on. Like, for example, this week, GW released a new flyer for the AdMech range, and they didn't release pictures of the sprue. So we've never worked on that model before, and on top of that, we can't even look at the sprue pics. We've already had a request for one. So any sort of estimate we provide is just guessing at best, based on past experiences and what we think the kit will be like, within a margin of error. So about a year ago, I hypothesized a way to do a service where you would basically prepay for a number of hours, and to verify the hours, you would do them live on camera. At the time, we were using Twitch for that. And Twitch was okay, but I find that Twitch is a really kind of weird community. We weren't successfully able to grow our stream at all. After 2 years, we were only in the 20 or 30 viewers at a time. Towards the end, we were only in the dozens, and it was just really unrewarding. And I don't know if that's because we don't understand the metrics well enough, or if because there's just a saturation in the market. But in either case, I was really disappointed by it. So we started experimenting with Facebook Live, and by extension, YouTube Live. And I like YouTube Live so far because it's really simple. So anyway, so part of the point of this is basically the primary goal here is just to document the work we're doing. By default, it gives us some idea of how long things take, because we can look back and say this is about how long it takes. But this is a new way of doing projects, and clients are always scared of new things. That's pretty normal. A hobbyist would much rather just request a certain amount. They want an estimate. Like if I have a broken water pipe, the first thing I want to know from the contractor is how much it's going to cost. And there's nothing wrong with that. But over time, you find that miniatures, because they're so time consuming to build and to paint, the estimates are high. And a lot of people, I would argue that the conversion rate in the miniature painting industry is much lower than, let's say, an electrician or a plumber. So your job is harder in that regard. You spend more time writing estimates than doing work. So this was a way to get around that. We would tell clients, like, this is a loose idea of how long we think it'll take. Like, we know that painting a squad of ultramarines, depending on the level of detail, takes, about 8 to 12 hours, give or take. It depends on all of the little variances and stuff. And it can take longer if they want something really extensive. But it gives us a place to start. And so once you establish time, then all you're really establishing is like the value per hour. So we made the rate cheaper the more hours a client signs up for. So basically, if they sign up for 40 like this person, he's getting a rate that is much more lower per hour than, let's say, someone who signs up for 4 hours a month. Part of the problem is that with a project, once you get started on it, you really want to keep going. You don't want to like start and stop. And so part of the rate is because of that. We're trying to reward clients for not having us start and stop all month, just having us do a bunch of work. Because, there's independent things, small things that add up on a project, pulling the colors, getting the notes, corresponding with the client, interacting, all those little things that really add up. But we offer other perks like free shipping. The biggest perk, in my opinion, with this style of commission work is that there's a consistency to the schedule. With a traditional commission service, it's a first come, first serve. If I contact, ABC Commission out west, and they say, okay, great, we can get to that, but it'll take 6 to 8 weeks, then I know that, okay, that's the earliest I can do it. And that's being generous. Most commission services, if they're even semi-successful, have a queue that wraps for months. And I've seen some queues wrap for over a year, especially smaller services with one person. We were always well known for being a very fast service. That has obviously slowed down with coronavirus. So this service means that every month the client has reliable service. So like, for example, if someone signs up for 8 hours a month, they will get 8 hours. And it allows them to build their collection slowly over time, as opposed to all at once. I kind of think of it like buying a house or buying a car. It's way more cost effective to buy a house up front, but most people can't afford that. So they have to buy it over time. An army's the same way. When you think about an army project and how much it costs, an army should run, it shouldn't, you're not going to be able to afford it if you do it all at once. So you should break it down over time. This is the test model for the project. The client actually mailed it back to us. So it is nothing fancy. This is what I would definitely call a tabletop standard. But here's the nice thing about a commission subscription service is that because it's time and basically they are paying by the hour, they encourage us to go faster. The more we get done, the better. So having a lower level model is not really a problem in this style of business because you're getting more done more quickly. So you're paying less per model. So let's say that model there takes in a batch or a squad, let's say we can do him in about 30 minutes. Well, that means that you could get 10 Marines in about 5 hours, which is pretty great. Can't beat that. Anyway, so that's just a long way of saying that this commission style is sort of new, but so far it's been successful with our client base. We like it. I think if it lasts long term, we may switch over to it entirely. Although I will say that one advantage of traditional commissions is cash flow. Traditionally, you get a deposit. We ask for a deposit of 25%, which can sometimes be great because it gives you a little bit of cash when you need it while you're waiting to finish off a big project. So like one of the other projects we're working on this month is a Raven Guard Army. That's a traditional commission. And because of the size of that project, it's a massive project. The payout, while it's really good, we don't get paid until the project is complete. So because of that, it can create problems if you're on a month-to-month billing cycle for your personal loans. So let's say my water bill's every month, but if I don't finish the project for 6 weeks, there's a 2-week period where I'm not getting paid. So that's something to keep in mind. This system is in some ways advantageous because it gives you a reliable cash stream every month, which I think most people would agree with is preferable to intermittent payments. But we learned a lot of lessons the last year. Because of the decline in commissions we were seeing, we were forced to experiment and sort of try to figure out what can we do to be more competitive. What we found is our competitors were generally cheaper than us as a rule of thumb. But people valued the higher level of service we offered, but they didn't value it enough. There comes a point where the service is overvalued, where people don't want to pay what you think it's worth. So then at that point, you have to look for ways for it to be cheaper, or you have to look for ways to lower your work or speed up your work. We saw a lot of high-level commission artists trying to find ways to speed up their work because everybody suffered this year. We saw a lot of people, and keep in mind, this was long before coronavirus. This was this started last spring. We were seeing a decline in overall business. Yeah, and if I'm being honest, our service suffered because of it. Like we lost several good painters because we didn't have enough steady work. And then coronavirus happened, and that, of course, was sort of the death knell. Because we were at the end of our lease, we only had a couple months left. Our painters wanted to work at home. Of course they did. It was safer. But working at home means you're sharing time with kids and wives and fiancés and all that kind of stuff. And splitting your time that way means you're less productive. Projects fell behind. So that's why I'm doing this. I'm trying to help us catch up a bit. One advantage of owning your own paint service is that you get to do everything. So long before I was focused on managing the commissions, I was focused on painting and assembly. So I had to dust off my old paintbrushes and get back to work. So now I'm kind of splitting my time between this and managing the shop. I did find that online sales were really good during this time. And to be quite honest, our queue is pretty booked because people are bored and they're at home. I think people are finally getting, I don't know, but our target client base was not heavily impacted, I think, overall by the coronavirus. The people most impacted, sadly, were the people at the lowest levels of income. So some of my friends that worked in the restaurant industry were severely impacted. But like the higher end clients that we have been fortunate to deal with over the years were not impacted by the crisis. So if anything, our commission queue has been, the crisis kind of helped us in that way. We booked more projects than I thought we normally would. We're currently taking projects for October, and it's just June. It's June 1st today. So we're months and months booked out, which is great. It actually could be a problem because if we have someone, let's say, sign up for another completist commission service at this time, I don't know if we have the manpower to actually complete all the commissions we're booking out right now. So that's a balancing act we would have to worry about. We would probably have to shut down traditional commissions, which some of our clients would not be happy with. It's tough. If anyone out there is interested in commission work, it's tough. See, I lost one viewer, so I hope I didn't upset anybody. I tell it like it is. It's if you're thinking about being a commission artist, it is a challenge. I'll just say that. It's a challenge. There are many hurdles to overcome and not a lot of rewards other than you get to do something you love. So if it's your passion, that's great. It has been a passion of mine for a long time, but it's not the only thing I want to do. So there are days where I definitely second guess it. But then there are days like today where I'm just hanging out. If anyone out there is working on their own hobby stuff, you want to share some pictures in the chat, I always like to see stuff. I was hoping I'd get to work on some of my personal projects during this period, but like I said, commissions have been generous the last couple months, so I haven't been able to work on any of my personal models for a while. Just other people's stuff. I realized with 9th edition coming out that I think I played 5 games of 8th edition. I literally went through the whole edition and played less games, played the games I could count on one hand because it was just busy. I just didn't have time. I got into 40K back in the 90s. So I'm a little bit older. I'm about to turn 40. And my first army was Tyranids. Specifically, it was just Gene Stealers. I lost all the time. A friend of mine gave me a paper bag full of 30 Gene Stealers, and I thought, I didn't know the rules, so I just used all 30, and I just died every time. Because they're great, but they got killed easily back then. They kind of get killed easily if you're not using them well. But anyway, but the game was really simple back then. It wasn't as complicated as it is now. Now there's, oh man, to me it feels a little complicated. I don't think it's complicated per se because I play role-playing games that are fairly complicated, but like D&D and Pathfinder and stuff. But I find that when I go to play 40K, I'm just mentally, I'm kind of looking for something I can check out with. And 40K is no longer a check-out game. It's a check-in game. You got to really be active. And, you know, there's stratagems and there's, every army has a special rule and there's formation rules and there's this and there's that. And I'm glad that there's hobbyists that really like that, but I'm not a good strategist. I really prefer a simple army. So I look for simple mechanics that I can replicate over and over again. It's probably why I'm drawn to like swarm armies. I like armies with a lot of models because it gives me a lot of time to hobby, and it gives me a simple tactic. Just put bodies over there. It doesn't matter if it's Tyranids or zombies. You just put more bodies on the table. I think the exception to that is I really like modeling big models. So Demon Princes and Knights are some of my favorite models to convert. I think down in the, I don't know during a live stream if it shows links to our stuff, but if it does, you should be able to click on links to our galleries. And we've done a lot of cool conversions over the years. That's one of the things that we're really good at. And so as a result of which, our galleries are flooded with unique models, which is really cool. That's something that I've always been very proud of. As a hobbyist, it's something that I've really enjoyed doing. When I get a chance to build something unique, I always try to do that. Another thing I've kind of learned over the last couple of months of this weird period is that I kind of hate wet palettes. I've kind of been experimenting with them, and I've realized I really don't like them. I don't like that they can mold and fester. I don't like the smell. I don't like how much water you have to put into them. I don't like how the paper crinkles. The advantages to it is that your paint doesn't dry out overnight, but in a paint session, I rarely have leftover paint, so it seems kind of a moot point. I think what I want to do is try a tile. I've seen a lot of people do that, and it's an easy way to use paint because of the low tensile surface pressure. You can drag the paint around and really blend it, which I like. So I think that's the next thing I'm going to try as a hobbyist. If anyone is just tuning in, this is a subscription commission stream. We're working on a subscription commission for one of our clients, TO. This army is going to be an Ultramarines army. Currently, we're working on the prep work. So we're basing the models using a very thin cork tile and a little ballast material. And then we'll be priming them this afternoon. We've been priming them on and off. We primed them a little bit this morning. You can't see it off camera, but I have a small sand mixture that I use for this. So just applying the cork and then dip it in the sand. Real simple, classic approach. If anyone out there is a hobbyist and they have any questions about anything, feel free to let us know. My name is Caleb Dillon. I'm the owner of White Metal Games. We're a commission service based out of Raleigh, North Carolina. We do commissions for clients all over the world. And we've been very fortunate during this period of time that we've been able to work from home despite the overall trend of things in the world. Have a lot of friends that lost their jobs during this period, and I feel very grateful that our style of work has allowed us to continue to work from home. It's a little inconvenient, but I have not lost any income. I've not lost any money. We've only had one client cancel a commission, and he lost his job, so I felt really bad for him. So I refunded his deposit and said, you know what, when things improve for you, let me know. But in general, this has been a time just of reflection and just to work and be supportive of family and friends, and that's it. That's what we've been doing. Some of our painters were taking some time off to be with their families during this period, which I fully support. This is a lot of stress in this time. So as a result of which, I had to step in and help out so that we could continue to offer our clients service. If anyone out there is a commission artist and wants to share their work with me or share stories, I'd love to hear them. Sorry there's no music. I was listening to a podcast, but YouTube has gotten really aggressive with their music problem. If you play a song, they'll copyright it. So now I'm nervous about playing anything. So I think for me, I'm trying to find things I can play that won't offer up copyright infringement. So, and their bots are really good. Like if you're listening to a song on the radio, it'll interpret it. Let's see. Oh, look at that. Got some comments. I didn't even look up. A lot of people spending extra $2,400 a month from unemployment. I don't know if that's a question. I know who that is. Hey, hey, Alec. Where's my drink? It's beer o'clock here on the East Coast. Yeah, I got a soda. I have drank at home a little bit while working, but I find that painting is such a it's a really intense focus thing. Like this is pretty mindless. I could probably crack a beer during this without any trouble. But But if I'm like dotting I's and I've had a beer, even one beer will impact my effectiveness. But thanks for chatting. That's a beautiful blue you got there, Caleb. I did not lay this down. This is McCrag blue. I've heard people called McCrag and McCrage. I'm not for sure which. So this is a client commission. He wants a very basic tabletop level ultramarine. And so we're really dialing this back for him. Traditionally, our paint style involves a prime and then a pre-shade and then a layer and then a highlight. And for him, he just wants something that matches his style of painting. So we reverted it a little bit. We simplified it a little bit. So we basically lay down black and then we lay down McCrag blue and we detail. And that's pretty much it. The only exceptions to that is a few selective washes on the guns and the bases and stuff. So yeah, very basic. Ultra Smurf, yeah, exactly. Alec, it's good to hear from you, man. I hope you're doing well. Hope you're doing okay during this period. And Blue Cloud Andrew, thank you very much. Alec, are you getting any games in during this time? I know you've got a pretty big Death Guard army at this point. Maybe some private games. It's so weird because like we have clients that we're working on models for them, and I don't even know if they're going to be able to enjoy them. It's not, in some cases the stores are open, but like we're in North Carolina and they've been pretty strict. They've only recently reopened some restaurants, and my wife and I are still pretty nervous about going anywhere like that. So even though technically we could, we're not, which I know hurts businesses, but it's tough. Been sitting at home for 7 months. Thought I would be back to work like 5 months ago. Oh, I see. Well, I'm sorry. I guess I either I forgot or I didn't realize you'd lost your job. I'm sorry about that. It is tough going out there. Mostly me and the kiddos as far as gaming. A little Warcry here, some kill team there. That's awesome. I'm really glad those small games are doing well. And I saw a note from GW the other day about kill team rules are going to stay the same despite 9th edition. So I guess they're going to kind of grandfather the rules a bit. They'll probably release a new version of the rules down the road. But for now, you can just maintain consistency with your stuff, which I think is really cool. I've seen some people using online bots for different plays. Like I've seen Warhammer 40K using like some sort of online engine, like a tabletop simulator. It's not for me. I prefer the in-person experience, but I guess during this period, you got to do what you got to do. Death Guard has slowed down a bit. Hey, are Poxwalkers any good? As I kind of mentioned earlier, I'm super into swarms, and I was looking at Death Guard the other day, and I was looking at the Poxwalkers, and I'm like, man, these guys are kind of great. I feel like in big numbers, if you fielded like 100 of them, it would just be really boss. But again, I don't play very much. It says, yes, good for taking hits. Cool. It's neat. Yeah, I just think they're neat. I think one of the reasons people probably don't field them is because it's very time consuming and financially it's very expensive to hire a service to paint 100 Poxwalkers. But I've been looking at like, is there a way to like, it seems skeevy, but could I build like 100 models that are meant to count as Poxwalkers or cultists or zombies, that kind of thing. So that way you could use them in 3 different styles of game. I'm not for sure. Good for taking hits. They're 4 points and good for screening your Marines. 4 points a model. That is insane. That's so good. Just love that. And I like how simple they are. The rules are really basic. I really like that they kind of feel like zombies and that you kill a unit and you add models back to your unit. I just think it's really fun. I'm a little nervous that now that I'm sort of excited about zombies and Warhammer, that with all the new models being released, I kind of wonder if Death Rattle and Flesh, what do they call those guys? Dead Walkers are on their way out. I wonder if there'll be a time when there won't be skeletons or zombies in Warhammer anymore. Just Warhammer Fantasy. Yeah, I think their movement's pretty slow. I think they move really garbage speed. But that's okay. I think I like to read the rules on the units, but obviously I don't play very much. So for me, it's all hypotheticals. I don't actually know if any of these models perform well. I get a vague sense from what's popular based on what our clients book, especially our meta clients. They'll be booking something and I'll be like, oh, this must be a good unit, like Eliminators or something. Yeah, I'd heard they're thinking about bringing back the Old World. Oh, nice. Blue Cloud Andrew says he uses his cultists for Poxwalkers too. See, that's smart and efficient. I mean, why not? Poxwalkers are just infected humanoids. So who's to say they're not infected cultists? Makes sense to me. Especially with all the price hikes, you got to figure out ways to make models cheaper or to repurpose them when and where you can. Yikes. All right, 2 more to go, and then we can hopefully prime. We did a batch of these before lunch, and hopefully those are cured enough by now that I can lay down some primers on them. I was hoping to prime these guys using Macrage Blue to save even more time, but I ordered a 6-pack of cans from our GW rep on the 20th of May, and they still haven't come in. So even though I know that businesses are doing their best, we've seen some product delay, and it's not a big deal. But it is interesting that it trickles down to that level. Although our online store has done really well during this period. We've sold over 1,000 bottles of paint in the last two months. So I know that hobbyists are at home enjoying their painting and that sort of thing. If anyone's going to be in the Raleigh area, we're going to be hopefully at a convention in July. We're going to be at GalaxyCon 2020, which it's not as big as some of the bigger shows out there, but for a sci-fi show, it's pretty big. It boasts about 50,000 attendees, which makes it about 10 times the size of like Adepticon. But keeping in mind that it's for general hobby, so it's like sci-fi stuff. We went to one in Richmond a few months ago, and the turnout was really good, but sales were really bad because people were more interested in anime than 40K. Well, for those of you that are here, I appreciate you guys hanging out. I've been video gaming a lot. If anyone out there is a video gamer, I've been trying to play Sekiro and losing consistently at it. It's super hard. Probably a lot there for cosplay too. So much cosplay. Yeah, if you want to look at attractive women and not attractive women in costumes all day, just go to a con. Like, that's all you got to do. And for what it's worth, they want you to look at them. That's what they're there for. They're into it. But shows are one of those things I really like doing, but they're a lot of work, the prep and the time. I think this year I'm going to try to focus on more terrain at shows because it's a more unique product. Everyone needs terrain, but no one wants to buy it. So I thought if I tried to sell that exclusively at shows, that might help. I got sucked back into WoW Classic. WTB 6 months, my life back. Yeah, I've got a lot of friends that play WoW. I have never got into it, so I've been lucky I've avoided it. But I heard before that everything happened, they said they had just released a new edition or a new version of the game or something like that. I've never been much of a resource game guy. Like, I don't really like the games where it's about resource management. It's just not my shtick. I like shooting things and stabbing things in video games too much to worry about how much wood I can trade for coal or whatever. Although World of Warcraft is traditionally more of a, it's like smoking cigarettes. I gave up smoking a while ago, and it's been really tough. Smoking is tough. I smoked for about 20 years and then quit for about 3 months, picked up a pack again, and then quit for another 2 months. And now I'm back to, so I've smoked 1 month out of the last 6, but. All right. So that's everybody based. So we're going to rotate a little bit. We're going to put some of this stuff back, and then we will cycle back to priming. So thanks for hanging out. I'm going to be switching things up for a minute. Take a second to recycle. That's another thing about this model that I really like, is that the indirect labor, so to speak, this sort of thing is covered as part of it. So I kind of think of this as like if you go to a job site and you're a subcontractor and you have to unpack your tools, well, that's part of the job, isn't it? So same basic idea here, part of the job. Alex, I thought about you today. I had this guy who's commissioning some knights, and he has he wants to do some Knights Morax, and he wants like every option there is. So it's something like 36 options for 4 armigers, which reminded me of your project with your knights with every single option. That was a lot of fun. That was a cool looking army. Still one of my favorite Nurgle schemes of all time with the toxic green. A lot of fun. Yeah, that's the ones he's looking at as the new small knights. I mean, if they're the same ones, maybe there's more than one, but these were called the Morax, and they're like little robot knights. But you can't buy all of the options for every model. You have to buy the actual models to get every option. You have to buy. They have 2 with light. They have lightning locks, and they have another ones with a claw and a plasma culverin or something, or a volkite or something like that. Oh, good. I'm glad that people like the bases on your models. Those were cool. Secret Weapon has some good bases. I mean, I like their stuff overall. Okay. Let's set that aside for now. Don't have a lot of trays here. All right, let's set you guys aside. All right, I apologize for the sound. But I will look for your comments if anyone out there is chatty. We're going to be picking up where we left off. So we're going to be priming this night. I'm going to start off with a black primer. This is Vallejo Black, which is a surface primer, which I'm a big fan of. I better put on a glove before I get my fingerprints on this thing. I would honestly buy mini heads from Forge World and use weapons from Forge World for Dreadnought. Yeah, that'd be cool. Yeah, they used to release, I don't know if they still do it, but they used to sell heads for all of the Knight, Castigator, Cerastus Knights. You could buy alternate heads. I don't know if they still do that or not. I was on their site today looking for that other project, and they're actually not even selling right now. They're just, if you go to buy something, it just has a share option. So I guess that they're still technically shut down. Hopefully they'll reopen soon. All right, so this is the base for this guy. So we just kind of did it ad hoc earlier. Should work fine. But I'm going to prime this with a brown instead of black. Okay. If I had to do my knights again, I would have had you just do extra knight arms for each weapon. Oh, you don't use the options from the Forge World model that much, you mean? The Styrix or something like that. And they're cool looking. I don't know what the rules are like. Just a lot of magnetized bits. Yeah, that's something that people don't think about when they magnetize a collection, is that there's a lot of upkeep. You have to keep up with all the parts, which can be, in my opinion, a little time consuming. If you lose a part, there's some risk. Using Game Color Smoky Ink for this, which is, in my opinion, one of their best colors, but it tends to be really thick. Although this appears to be fairly thin. This is pretty good airbrush consistency. So maybe we thinned it at some point before we put it in. This is going to take a lot of primer. Although you can see it's kind of soaking it up really well. Thin that just a bit. Yeah, I like this color. And I'm drawn to really rich pigments I find over the years. Like, it's interesting. I just laid a little black in those areas, but you can see that it almost works like a pre-shade. I guess I could have gone in and laid more black. Those are still good. Could shadow it a bit. Let's see. Some pooling up top there you can see because it's saturated. It won't absorb any more paint right now. It's best to kind of do this in stages. So the next layer will be much lighter. All right, so for the next thing we're going to do is we're going to go back to those Marines and start priming them. Oh my God. Gotta get a workflow going here. Oh my God, I gotta get a better chair. This is killing my back. Let's see. Be nice to see Forge will bring back Death Corpse of Krieg. Yeah, I think if they did Death Corpse of Krieg in plastic, it would actually do really well. I feel like Death Corpse of Krieg are kind of the sisters of battle of Forge World. It's like it's one of those armies that everybody wants, but no one wants to pay the rates for it. So recasters make a lot of money on those models because people desperately want Deathcore. But I've heard some horror stories when it comes to Deathcore because the detail is so fine that second generation recasts look pretty rough. One of our clients that we've had before, I saw him on social media saying that he had bought some models recast and they didn't come up. They didn't look very good. I actually may have an offer on them in a private message because I thought they would make good boxwalkers. I was like, I'll take those, but I did not hear back from them. So. Not a lot you can do with crappy recasts like that. I guess unless you're creative. I suppose you could make them into a diorama, but there's no money in that. So it looks like the compressor is picked up on camera because I can see that it has a low level of audio. But I guess the question is whether or not people can hear me over the compressor. Let me know if you have trouble hearing me. I've seen some Deathcore of Krieg on Poxwalkers or Zombie on eBay. It's the only picture I've seen of them though. Cool. Yeah, I'm still that's one of my problems is that like on eBay I'm a sucker for a deal. So if I see a unit or a model that I think I can use for something, even if it's not a project I'm currently working on, if it's a good deal, sometimes I'll buy it. I can get into trouble with that though, because I never have time to work on my personal stuff. So it's basically just spending money. It's not investing if I can't do anything with it. Well, we've got some cool projects coming up in the next couple months. So after this project, this is an Ultramarines army, but we're also working on a Raven Guard army. We've been working on that for too long. It was scheduled for April, and then coronavirus happened, and so it pushed down into May, and now we're wrapping it up in the first week of June. We should be finishing that up this week. After that, we have to catch up on some of this subscription work, which includes these Ultramarines, another Ultramarines army, plus some Star Wars Armada. Later this month, we'll be starting on a few small commissions we have, including a Chaplain Dreadnought for a Blood Angels client, and some other assorted models. A regular Chaplain for a return client, Primaris Chaplain. We've also got, oh my God. The perils of working at home. Not a lot of workspace. Anyway, one of the big projects we have coming up this month is a Sons of the Phoenix army, which is a really cool army. They're Primaris army, but they're in white, which we don't get a chance to do a lot of white armies. They have one purple arm, which is neat. It has a lot of the same fun of doing like a quarter chapter without the challenge, because you can just paint that by brush. So that's kind of fun. And has 3 chaplain dreadnoughts, which we converted. And it's a big army. It's pretty big. So that'll be our project we're working on later this month. And then in addition to that, we're also, in midsummer, we've got some AdMech we're working on. And we've got a Necron army that the client is letting us do a heat damage effect. So they'll look like their metal is getting hot, which I'm really excited about. Necrons represent a really cool opportunity to work on custom metallics, which we don't get to do enough. Oh. Sorry about the single camera setup today. I'm not the techie that my video guy was, so I'm just using a very simplified format. Not using OBS, just streaming directly through YouTube. So none of the overlays, just very basic. My wife and I have been watching a lot of movies at home during this thing. Last night we watched a movie called The Prospect, which is a pretty decent sci-fi movie. It had Pedro Pascal, who is probably most well known for his role on Game of Thrones, where he played the Viper. He was in a low-budget sci-fi film, which was kind of great. I thought it was a lot of fun. It kind of reminded me of Alien in a lot of ways. A lot of isolation. You know, it was actually kind of like a better Covenant. That's kind of what it reminded me of. It was like a lower budget, but somehow much more interesting Covenant. We also watched the first 20 minutes of The Bad Batch, which had Jason Momoa and Jim Carrey and this great cast. Gianna Ribisi, but it's just not a strong movie. It was kind of like a budget Mad Max. It was weird. I have this sneaking suspicion that a lot of guys lost a bet and that they had to do this movie or something, but yeah, Pedro is really cool. But anyway, Jim Carrey played like a bag man, and like, which I thought would have been funny, but it wasn't. It's just kind of weird and sad. Anyway. But yeah, we've been watching a lot of movies, a lot of shows. We caught up on Rainy recently. We caught this show called Space Force on Netflix, which was okay, but a little dated, ironically. I think Greg Daniels, the creator of the show, who did Office, His brand of humor was really great a decade ago, but somehow it feels dated in today's society. Some of the jokes were about like kind of, I wouldn't say they're pedophilia, but they're about older men dating this high school girl, which just rang really weird. I don't know. Didn't feel appropriate. My wife and I really enjoy going to the movies before this, but obviously we can't do that right now. So that's the thing I miss most about the old world, as it were. As I mentioned, we've been very fortunate that we've been able to keep our jobs during this period just by working at home. My wife also works at home, so that can be a little tough. We don't have kids, but it can be stressful to be around your partner all day, every day. We've learned a lot about each other. And I thought I knew everything, but we learned more. Alex, I'm so sorry you've lost your job, man. I don't mean to keep talking about it. I know there's a lot of people in your boat. I feel like with working, one of the things that people get the most out of is just having a sense of purpose. Like the money obviously has some relevance, but I think for me, I like having a sense of something to do. I think for some people, they certainly define themselves by their work, and when they don't have that, it's harder to define who they are. It's tough. But if it makes you feel any better, like I know a lot of people who have had to, that's what unemployment's there for. I know a lot of people that have had to use it, and that's why we pay taxes, is so that when these things happen, you have an option. You paid for it, whether you know it or not. All right, so all these guys are primed. It looks like we got 5 more. And then the original Marines have to be primed. I'm trying to figure out a good schedule for streaming, because I'm the only person streaming right now. So I streamed from 10 to 12 this morning. And I thought I would stream from 2 to 4 daily, but I had to start the stream late today because I was working on a quote for a client. So I didn't start the stream till 2:30. But I thought 2 to 4 or 2 to 5 might be good. Not sure. If I could do 2 to 5, then that would be 25 hours a week of dedicated painting on camera. That'd be pretty good, I think. More ass and chair time. I've been watching a lot of videos from other painters out there. I've been watching Miniac. I really like him a lot. I really like his work. He's a good painter, but he's more of a, in my opinion, he's a better technician than a painter. He's really good at breaking down models and figuring out what works and what doesn't. But he's incredibly honest about his work. I've been watching Goobertown Hobbies that he's got some interesting ideas. Those guys know a lot about metrics, which I something I do not know a lot about. I think one of the reasons we never were able to make Twitch work the way I wanted was that we didn't understand the metrics. This is a day and age for the people that understand the metrics the best, do the best, I think. It's not about what you're saying, it's about how you're saying it, how you're posting, and that kind of stuff. One thing's clear, I'm going to need a more ergonomic chair if I'm going to do this 5 hours a day on camera. This chair is not cutting it. I recently rewatched Star Wars, the Han Solo movie. I forget what they call it. It's not Han Solo Origins. I think it's just called Han Solo, A Star Wars Story. I really like that movie. I just think it's great. You know? Like everybody, I have a couple opinions about it, but my general opinion is it's fucking awesome. If that movie has a weak point, ironically, it's Emilia Clarke, and I really like Emilia Clarke. But I just didn't find that her character added much to the plot. She was just kind of a weird love interest for Han. I thought that she would have been much better utilized if she had changed a lot in the time since they've been apart. Like if Han's idea of her was locked in stone, but the reality is she's changed a lot. And she had, but she didn't show him that. And maybe you could argue that was the goal, that she wanted to appear like nothing had changed. But that final moment between them, spoilers ahead, when she's like, I'm right behind you, I think would have been even stronger if, I don't know, it didn't feel as strong as it could have been to me. All right, primed all those Marines. So now my options are to go back and prime the original batch or to move on to something else. I guess I'll keep priming for now. I read an article in the back of one of our distributor magazines that was written by Dave Taylor. I've been reading up more about his work. And he did a batch painting article this month, which I thought was pretty good. Batch painting is just when you paint everything whole at once, which is what I'm doing. The biggest challenge when it comes to batch painting is motivation, is that it's efficient, but it's really draining to do it this way. Because you have to keep up your momentum throughout the whole project, which is very tiring, to say the least. I've been listening a lot to the Glass Cannon podcast. I don't know if any of you guys out there have ever listened to them. They're I'm way behind because they started recording in 2015. And I'm only on 2016, but it's a Pathfinder game, and it's a lot of fun. How many Marines am I doing? I don't know how many Marines are in this army, actually. That's one of the interesting things about this subscription model is that I don't have to write a quote, so they just send me as many as they have. These are all Hellblasters, so let's take him away. 2, 4, 6, 8, 10, 12, 13, 14 Hellblasters. And it looks like about a dozen intercessors. So a little less than 30 Marines, plus a knight, 3 librarians. This guy really likes librarians. And a repulsor. So it's not a huge army. It's meant to supplement. He's an AdMech client of ours. He's been building an AdMech army for years now called the Legio Victorum, which is a Titan house or Knight house or whatever they call those things. So this is meant to be a supplement to that army. I think he wants some Primaris models. I am not a huge fan of the Primaris lore. I think the models are cool, but I feel like we're in a weird time in the game where the older models are all being taken out and the newer models are all coming in, and characters are being replaced by their Primaris versions. So I told Ryan back in the day that I have a sneaking suspicion that eventually the old Marines will be done. And I think what would be really cool is if they did like a Order 66 sort of thing where the new Primaris Marines kind of wipe out the old Marines. Like they are basically reclaiming gene seeds. And so, yeah, because for me, the Marines were always kind of the bad guys. I was never a big fan of the Marine lore. So now that you have these Marine chapters that are all Primaris, it's like, okay, well, this feels inevitable. Maybe that's just me. Okay. I appreciate the few viewers we do have today. I intentionally did not advertise this on Facebook or YouTube or anything because I wanted to sort of get a feel for the stream before I advertised it. I didn't want people to show up and me like be constantly rushing off camera to grab stuff or, be having to run off to grab a snack. I wanted to get my schedule to a point that I felt comfortable. So this is day one. I did a few experimental test streams over the weekend, but I kept making mistakes on everything from titling to the audio input to everything else. And but we'll see if this turns into a regular thing. I've never been good at scheduling when it comes to myself. I've been good at scheduling when it comes to other stuff, but I tend to stay up too late. I'm a bit of a night owl, which makes getting up harder. So last night I went to bed at 12:30, which is very early for me, but I was able to get up early and get started early, get my day going, and I will say it's been really productive. That blue on that base coat is so strong. Profound. This is just the grind portion of any project where you're just grinding. I wish I could say this is going to be an exciting project at some point on camera, but it's really not. After this, the next step is to base coat them and do the bases. So it's going to be a lot of this for a while. This will be an interesting experiment in how long it takes to do a very basic army, because this is not a very big project, but it's a very low-level project. So a typical army, to put things in perspective, it depends on the size of the army, but let's say a typical army is about 50 models. A typical army will take you about, I don't know, 60 to 80 hours. A big army will take twice that long, like a massive army. So my guess is that this project will take about 50 hours, maybe 40 to 50 hours. And we're on hour, I think, 3 or 4. So we got a ways to go. I always feel like hosting yourself on these kind of things is a little akin to being crazy, because you're just talking to yourself. Back in the day, we used to have a co-host on our streams. Michelle used to do that a lot. She was really good at it. And the co-host would kind of be like, oh, just a co-host. They would respond to chat, answer questions, give you someone to talk to. Right now, it's just me talking to you guys. I only know one of you guys, because the other person that was on here jumped off. I don't think I have a voice that's good for streaming. I hear a lot of other people, and I'm like, man, they have a voice that's made for radio. They're just perfect for this. I've always felt like my voice was kind of not gravelly in a good way. Yeah, I see it says 3 people are watching. But what we found with Twitch is that, like, you know, you can have 30 people watching, but, you know, like 27 of them are lurking. They're just enjoying the video quietly. And to be fair, I do that too. I definitely watch people's work without commenting, because I'm just trying to get a sense for who they are and what they do. So, but it still feels like there's a need to chat, because if people showed up and I was just sitting here doing nothing, which I did on the first couple channels, I wasn't talking. Might be weird. Maybe not. Maybe it'd be like a Fireside video, like when you turn on the fire videos over the holidays. All right, last one. Cool. Let's see if there's any primers to touch up on the vehicles. But otherwise, I think this project is primed. I'm going to have to get something to mask all this. All right, so here's the vehicle from this morning. I can definitely see some dead spots where I went prime blind and didn't see it, as Mitch used to say. One of the things I don't like about this tank is it has so many undercuts. There is so much room for primer to not get down in there. It's a cool looking tank, but I mean, a lot of places where the primer won't settle. All right. So at this point, because this is a commission subscription stream, we track these by the stream length. So I think what I'm going to do is probably going to wrap it up here. I might jump on and do another person's subscription, but there's not a lot else I can do on this client right now. So thank you guys for tuning in. I appreciate you guys hanging out, chatting with me a bit. I'm going to take a break, and I will come back probably in a little bit. Thank you guys for hanging out. I really appreciate it. Just so you know, I'll be streaming every day this week. Look for me from 10 to noon, and in the afternoons from about 2 to 4 or 2 to 5. So thanks for hanging out. Totally appreciate it. See you guys next time.